Carl Jung said, "Awaken and shine your light for others to follow. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This is an invitation to move differently in the world, to operate from a place of deep knowing and alignment. I'm Adrienne McDonald, and welcome to the Source Code Podcast. Let's dive in. Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time. Welcome to this very special episode of the Source Code Podcast, our 100th episode. I can't believe we have reached this milestone. When I started this podcast, I actually started two at the same time. I started this one, and then I started a mindset morning one. And I did that, honestly, because that made me show up every day and put some content out there, because it was like my commitment to it. And although I sunset that one after I think 6 months, I really liked the longer form more. It was still a great exercise. And I look back and see the evolution. The podcast changed names, it's changed focus. I always knew that my definition of mindset was different than most people. And then after bringing in more modalities like human design and gene keys and talking about shamanism, I just felt like we're going deeper. This is deeper layers into spiritual transformation. It's evolving into something bigger. And I hope it's a space for deeper conversations around self-trust and embodiment and what it means to live with that, being able to tap into that deep inner knowing all the time. And someone asked me, they submitted a DM saying, "What was your favorite episode?" And that was really hard. I thought about it. And I mean, on one hand, I want to say like the first one, because that meant that, I put the work out into the world. I actually did the thing. I do know that the demystifying the gene keys in there's an episode on the drama triangle, breaking free of the drama triangle. Those are the ones that are the most downloaded ones, and I do think that was some of my favorites as well. So just today, I want to do a couple of things. I want to reflect on this journey, what I've learned a little bit over the 100 episodes, and some of the things that have come up for me as I have prepared this particular episode. I want to share something that I've been quietly working and creating for quite some time now, called the Frequency Labyrinth. And I want to introduce a new offering, the Keras sessions, for those moments when you need precise, intuitive guidance. And I think it's really fitting that as we are celebrating this milestone, the sun is currently transiting. When this episode drops, we will be moving into Human Design Gate 49. Now that gate is called the Gate of Principles. This energy is all about radical change, about burning away what no longer aligns with your deepest values. And I want to go a little deeper into the energy of Gate 49, because this transit isn't just happening in the collective, it's very personal to me. It's one of my big placements. Gate 49 is often also called the Gate of Revolution, but revolution isn't just about rebellion, it's about restructuring. In human design, this gate sits in the emotional solar plexus, meaning that it's deeply tied to emotional clarity, values, and the power of change rooted in really deep conviction. And in its shadow frequency, Gate 49 is reaction. This is the energy of burn it all down, of being so emotionally overwhelmed that instead of discerning what needs to shift, we reject everything. This is the energy of severing ties abruptly, of making decisions in the heat of the moment, of drawing hard and fast lines in the sand before we fully understand the situation. It's the revolution that collapses before we can truly build something better. Now, does that sound familiar to you? We've seen a lot of that in the collective for quite some time now. If you've been feeling more triggered than usual, if old wounds or patterns are surfacing, if you find yourself in the emotional swings of, I'm done with this, it's not just you. This shadow shows up when we react before we reflect. When we burn everything down because we're afraid to sit in the discomfort of transition. When we are unable to press that pause button. And the Gene Keys book, Richard Rudd talks about the shadow of the 49 is one of the most powerful shadows of all the keys. The 49 doesn't just produce, the 49 gift doesn't produce the kind of revolution that history has so often seen. It gives birth to revolutionaries, not reactionaries. This urge to improve the world is anchored in a deep understanding of the world. People with the 49th key have a deep understanding of the limitation imposed upon civilization by our emotional inability to see beyond our tribal creeds. Their role is to assist in pulling down these old perspectives based on fear and territory. However, while this gift seeks to throw out the old ways, it also understands that certain aspects of the past must be kept intact so it can nurture to fulfillment. And I know this energy really well. Gate 49 is my design Mars and my Gene Keys vocation/core wound. I have walked this path of reaction most of my life, of feeling that really deep discomfort of misalignment and wanting to change everything overnight. And it's something that I have really struggled with, but also really have found to be incredibly transformative, because when I've moved into the gift of this gate, when I move into that revolution versus the reaction, I really have found the power of this energy. And it's being in the eye of the storm, but not of the storm. Because Gate 49 isn't just about change for the sake of change. It's about revolution with a purpose. It's about saying this no longer aligns with who I am. And it's about saying this is worth my commitment, and using discernment to say this is what I'm going to build in its place. And in the Gene Keys of the acidic state, the highest expression is rebirth, the ability to transcend reaction and to move beyond personal triggers and to step into that role of a conscious creator. And I think I certainly don't spend most of my day in that state, but I have obtained glimpses of that, and it is infinitely more powerful than being in reaction mode and being a reactionary. So as this transit unfolds and we sit into this energy, which will be over the next week, which coincidentally, as I was listening to Adam's readout and a couple other astrologers that I listened to, the readout for next week, it's got the potential for that major shifts going on in the collective. And you can either work with the energy or you can be in the shadow of the energy. And I think that when we reflect on where am I reacting instead of responding? What needs to shift in my life, but with discernment, not impulse? What am I ready to revolutionize from a place of clarity and power? Am I being a reactionary? Am I being a revolutionary? Like, that is really a really serious thing that I think all of us really need to contemplate right now. Now, for me, this 100th episode isn't just a milestone. It really is a moment of rebirth, of stepping into this next version of my work and my mission and how I serve you. And I am almost through my Celtic shamanic practitioner training. I finished that up later this spring. And when I was contemplating how all of this work was going to weave together, the human design, the gene keys, the mindset stuff, the Jungian psychology, the all the stuff, all the little things that are in my the coaching training, all the things that I've done over the past, decade or more. How is this going to weave together? And it became very clear last year at some point that the threads were starting to weave. And what came out of that was the frequency labyrinth. And the frequency labyrinth is not just another tool. It's, in my opinion, or it will be a revolution in how we engage with our human design, because it's not just a framework, it's really the process of that rebirth, of reclaiming your planetary placements as that living gift energy within you. And that's really the power of the Gate 49. It asks us, what are you really committed to? What are you ready to walk away from? What are you ready to rebuild? And as I said, I feel this one really deeply, because this means that the theme of reaction and revolution isn't just a passing energy for me. It's embedded in my journey. It's embedded in my work. It's through the lens of just about everything I see, because it's that core wound vocation thing. And it's a big part of what I am here to transmute and teach. And when we move out of reaction and into discernment, 49 becomes really powerful. It becomes that frequency of sacred revolution. It's that ability to choose what is worth standing for. It's the courage to say, this stays, this goes, this evolves. Again, with discernment. And honestly, I think that's what this 100th episode is about. It's a moment of stepping into that next evolution of this work, of this podcast, of the way I serve this community. When I was first started this podcast, I was still finding my voice. I was still discovering what I wanted this space to be. And I knew I didn't want to just talk about mindset, but I wanted to, or any of the modalities, human design, gene keys, but rather how you can apply them to your life. How can using these things make your day-to-day better? And, some of that I was looking back, and it's okay, I could see where I was still starting a reaction. It was okay, is this going to work? Am I trying to prove something? A lot of it was, there's an episode out there I talk about being an echo, and I didn't want to be an echo. But this journey has shown me that my work, my voice, my approach, it's not meant to fit into a one-size-fits-all mold. That's just not me. It's taught me that true revolution isn't just about burning things down. It's about knowing how to shift and weave things together, and so that there can be a different type of rebuild. So over the past 100 episodes, a few key themes have emerged. First of all, and you've heard me say this till I'm blue in the face, self-trust is everything. All personal and spiritual development, that is the foundation of it. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't trust yourself, it's just information. And second, transformation isn't necessarily about adding more. It's about deepening what you already have. The power isn't in how many tools you have. It's how you intentionally work with the ones that you have. And even if you've heard me say this before, if you only take 3 things from human design. How you best use your energy, how do you best make decisions, how opportunities best come to you. And that's all you use it for, and you don't do anything with, that's still profoundly a wonderful way to affect your life in a positive manner. It's like when the universal laws. I can't remember all 12. I can't remember all 10. I can't remember all 7 because I can never remember how many there are. I'm like, look, just remember 3. Number 1, everything is energy and it's moving in and out of form. Number 2, law of polarity. If there's a problem, there's always a solution. There's 2 sides to every coin. Number 3, cause and effect. You are the cause and you cause the effect. If you just take those 3 and apply those rules, again, you don't have to have it overly complicated. And third, evolution is constant. Who I was in episode 1 is not who I am now. And if there's one thing that Gate 49 teaches us, it's that revolution is necessary for transformation. It's about honoring what no longer serves and choosing the next iteration of your path. So let's talk about what the frequency labyrinth is. Speaking of evolution, I've been working behind the scenes on this for a while, and it's been something that's whispered to me, and then it got louder and louder. And if you're familiar with the gene key sequences, activation, the Venus, and the Pearl, you know that they take you on a journey of self-awareness. But I wanted to expand that a little bit. I wanted to include all of the planetary placements, not just the specific ones in the gene key sequence, because there's some planetary placements in your human design chart that are not included in the gene key sequences. I wanted to develop something that was the full cosmic map, and that's what the frequency labyrinth is. It's a journey through all of the planetary placements that you have in human design. And when I first saw this, it was in a shamanic journey. And what was shown to me was a labyrinth. And that's when I knew that this was not going to be just an intellectual exploration. It was a transformative system. And it's not just about understanding your chart. It's about moving through a lived experience. Each planetary placement becomes a threshold, a lesson, an initiation point, a meeting point with your own mythic story. Now, there are going to be several phases of this. Now, phase 1 is the frequency labyrinth will launch as a downloadable report that takes you through your planetary placements. Where your planetary placements are the numbers on either side of your human design chart, giving you a little bit more personalized insight and guidance. And that will be available to be purchased pretty soon. If you want to know when that is available, there is a sign up that is linked in the show notes. Like, hey, let me know when this is available. And then phase 2 will happen later in the spring. And I will be incorporating deeper shamanic components into this journey, taking it from a more knowledge-based exploration into more of a spiritual initiation. So if you have been looking for a different way to explore your design beyond just the basics, this is it. And I'd love to know, what part of your design do you feel most called to explore in a deeper way? You can DM me on Instagram, or you can reply. There's a link in the show notes to send me a note. And because as you give me the feedback, I am weaving your insights into this creation, because this is going to be an iterative process. The second thing I want to talk about is, I've noticed in my work that sometimes you don't need a full deep dive reading. You just need a moment of clarity. a single insight that can shift everything. And that's why I've created the Kairos sessions. The word Kairos is Greek. It means right, opportune, sacred moment in time. And that's exactly what these sessions are meant to be. 30 minutes of intuitive guidance calls designed for when you need the insight quickly. So if you have a decision that you're struggling with, if you need hot seat coaching, if you want insight into a specific aspect of your human design or gene keys chart, if there's something, a pattern that you've been struggling with that you can't quite break, that's what these sessions are designed to do. Precision guidance, and there will be a limited number of them per month. 30 minutes, $75. If you feel called, you can book one of those today. Link will be in the show notes. So what is next for the Source Code podcast? Well, we will be going more in depth around the exploration of the frequency labyrinth in the coming months, more deep dives. We will be taking the podcast from just audio format to YouTube. Yes, I have a YouTube channel now. Right now, the podcast is on YouTube in audio only, but I said working on shifting that to video. I'll also be doing deeper dives for video content for YouTube. So if you've not subscribed to that, please go ahead and do that now. And there's a lot that I have planned for this year, so I look forward to connecting with you more in all the ways, especially on social media, so you can get the latest. And because we're here in the energy of Gate 49, this gate of revolution, I want you to let this episode be a reminder that you have all the permission that you need, full permission to change, evolve, and step into that version of yourself that feels more alive, that feels more true, that brings back the joy and wonder in your life, and to endeavor to be a revolutionary and not a reactionary. Thank you so much for being part of this journey. Here is to the next 100 episodes. Remember to find beauty every day and seek the magic in the mundane. Thank you for listening to the Source Code Podcast. If you found this episode insightful and feel moved to, please leave a review and share it out with those you believe will find it helpful. You can check out my website for more information at www.adriannemcdonald.com. And for more of my more regular musings, connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn. I hope you have a beautiful week.